you've ever had a drawer that gets stuck, or when you pull it out it falls, you know how frustrating it can be. Have you ever got in a fight with your drawers? Well, today I'm going to talk about some simple, common fixes for stuck drawers, sagging drawers, and drawers that fall out. Don't call the carpenter just yet. Dealing with jammed drawers or drawers that sag and get stuck is the pits. We can brush it off and say it's because my furniture is so old or so cheap or whatever, and just deal with it and get frustrated and fight with our drawers every single time we get something out or put something up. Or we can do a little inspecting, take a look. Usually the problem is pretty simple to fix, and just that few minutes of solving that problem will save you day after day after day of frustration. First, let's look at two of the most common problems with drawers. The first one is you pull it open and it flops completely out and drops. The second one is it gets stuck and you pull and pull and pull to get it out, and then you have to do it all over again the next time. Take the drawer completely out and make sure that it's lined up on the track, then push it in and it should open and close. If for some reason that doesn't work, we're going to have to do some further investigation. Pull out the offending door and we're going to do an inspection to see what is causing the problem. First, looking at the drawer itself, because the drawer is a lot easier to fix than what it's fitted into. Make sure that the track on the bottom is good and straight and secure at both ends, that there's not any loose screws. If there are loose screws, tighten those back up. If it has come loose, you want to make sure that the track is in the center at both the front and the back before you tighten the screws. That'll keep it good and straight. Also check any screws or hardware on the sides of the track to make sure that it is in firm and that none of the screws have been knocked loose or knocked sideways. If you have an older drawer, it may have these wooden stoppers at the front or some other kind of stoppers. Make sure that those are right in the center where they're supposed to be, not up too high or down too far, because that can impede the drawer from opening and closing, but mainly it causes that irritating gap underneath drawers right at the bottom. In this case, one of the stoppers had worn all the way down, so I just hammered in a thumbtack to raise it up to the height that it's supposed to be. Worked like a charm so that the drawer doesn't go back any further. If that's not an issue, make sure that the track inside the door is sliding firmly, and again, check in the front and the back to make sure that that track is screwed in firmly in the center. If you need to, be sure to tighten any of the screws, because a loose screw can make that track wobble and keep your drawer from going straight forward and back. Make sure that you line up that track with the one on the inside, and you might have to push kind of firmly at first to make sure it engages all the way. But once it engages and everything's good and tight and straight, it should slide in and out. Sometimes the solution's a little more complex, but you can still handle it yourself. In this case, one of my gliders or my tracks had come completely loose over time. You can either measure that to find the center of your drawer to know where to screw it down, or if you're in an apartment or a college student in your dorm and you don't have a tape measure, grab a cord or a piece of string or thread or yarn or whatever you have, stretch it across the full length of the inside of the drawer, fold it in half, and then you'll know exactly where the center is and where that track should be attached to the door. Screw in a new screw or the old one if it hasn't stripped out, and make sure it stays in there nice and firm and won't slide back and forth. Then check the back of the drawer and make sure that the back of the track is firmly in place at the same location in the center of that drawer. Because if one side is further up than the other, that can cause a drawer to jam
and get stuck, and it's very frustrating. So here I am putting in a new screw, making sure that it's super tight. If your screws have come loose and they're not going to stay in there firm, you might have to use a slightly longer or chunkier screw. And now I'm lining up that track where I repaired the glider, and it goes straight on. And now it opens and closes wonderfully without skipping back as far as it did before with that annoying gap on the bottom. Then all that's left to do here at the top, I had a screw come loose. Now that I know the correct location of the track, I can screw the existing screw back in place and make sure it stays firmly. Now in this case, I went ahead and put the drawer in, and it went in great at first. It slid right in, but then when I pulled it out, I realized that it was still rocking around. That screw had been stripped out, and I needed to replace it with a longer screw. I don't have a lot of playroom here because if I get it too long, it's going to go straight through the board. It just didn't have much wood to hold on to. So instead of getting an extremely long screw, what I decided to do was go in at a slight angle with the screw to grip on to more of the wood, and that worked like a charm. Now the drawers are exactly as they should be. No more sagging, no more sticking, no more frustration. I looked in this drawer and realized that my husband only has one clean sock left, so I think it's time to get some laundry done.
And we all have enough frustration in our lives, so why not make it a little bit easier on yourself? Fix the drawer. It takes 5 minutes. Thanks so much for joining me today. Be sure to like and subscribe. I put out new material every week. God bless.